Well, let's go through more of y'all's emails. No, I'm not over the rainbow rocket crap. What, do we have a choice? What Mega Evolution really is. Hey T-Tar, I just finished watching the video you posted like an hour ago. You said that Mega Evolution is still a mystery in terms of its origins, and so they have a theory as to what Mega Evolution might be. Be excited, guys. We're gonna learn the answer in this game. Well, someone sound interested. Are you interested, Masuda? It's not even over there. See, I always found it weird how differently the ultimate weapon was utilized by AZ and Lysander. I believe AZ used both Xerneas's and Yveltal's powers to achieve the ultimate weapon. Yveltal's powers was used to suck up all the life energy from the battleground and stop the war, while Xerneas's powers were used to give Floet eternal life. You make a good point, nobody knows. You see, the way AZ just brings the weapon to the battlefield, it looks like what I said in a previous video, like an artificial Xerneas or Yveltal, some kind of machine that can draw on and affect life forces, which is what Xerneas and Yveltal focus on. So this weapon mimicked what Yveltal was capable of doing by stealing all the souls of the Pokemon on the battlefield, and then was able to replicate what Xerneas could do by then giving that life force to a dead Pokemon to bring it back. The other idea is what you're saying here, which is that when AZ came to the battlefield with the machine, he already had Xerneas and Yveltal energy loaded in there. He had some ammo, which would imply he went and found them, used it to power the weapon, and then came to the battlefield. Who knows? I would be inclined to believe it's the first one because it's more impactful. You know, you go to Geosenge, you see all the graves. The point is supposed to be AZ stole so many lives, and that's why Floet, one, it can't stand AZ's obsession over the events of the war, and then two, it can't stand to exist knowing all the lives that were lost to give it life. So I'm imagining it's the first one. But on the contrary, Lysander for sure is the second one. He straight up powered the ultimate weapon, skipping that step with Xerneas or Yveltal. So yeah, they use it completely differently. Anyway, so what are Megastones? Remember the life force beam shot up to space and came down. That beam hit Kalos and probably spread Mega energy throughout the entire region. I agree with Sycamore that evolution stones turned into Megastones once Kalos was hit by that Mega beam. Now the question is, why for specific Pokemon? Holy frick, I see where you're going with this. The point is, in all the Pokemon that were used to supply the ultimate weapon, how have we not thought of this? I believe that's because the ultimate weapon absorbed certain Pokemon's life energy. So a Firestone changed into a Charizardite or Blazikenite because the ultimate weapon absorbed life energy from a Charizard or Blaziken who fought in the war 3,000 years ago. That is insane. That is probably the freaking answer. Man, I made a theory making it so complicated, like an empty Megastone that ancient trainers imprinted a certain potential into as they bonded with, for example, their Charizard a lot. Complicated ass idea, right? F that freaking idea. It's that. It's that right there. Now, I don't fully agree with this, like that a Firestone is what turns into some of the Fire Megastones. I don't think that's the case. I know that's what Sycamore says in game. I imagine that's partially a red herring. What I think the freaking answer is, and I don't know how, this freaking escaped us. Let's say 1,000 Pokemon on the battlefield. Between these two countries, their life energy was absorbed, ripped out of them, and put into the ultimate weapon, and then fired up. Those 1,000 become the Megastones. A freaking Tyranitar that was on the battlefield, a Steelix. They are mutated through the ultimate weapon when they're fired up. Because, okay, I don't know if I mentioned this, the main question, the main issue with Megastones is, why do we have specific ones? How weird is it that you can pick up a Charizardite off the ground? Where did it come from? And why is it for a specific Pokemon? That's the conundrum we're trying to address here. It makes sense that the soul of these Pokemon, mutated through life energy, is the Megastones. So when you find a freaking Charizardite on the ground, it's actually the soul of an ancient Charizard with some mutation on it. And so you give it to your Charizard, you bond with your Charizard enough so it can tap into it. It gets a ultimate weapon transformation, Mega Charizard. Boys, this is the freaking answer. This is why they made it such a big point to show all those graves in Geosenge. And this would mean Floet Not only did it just get some life force put into it, but it probably got the same mutation that the Megastones have in them, so it partially evolved further. But that one's a bit hard to say because AZ's Floette always has this weird ancient flower. Maybe he just had a strong Floette. So all this Pokemon species who can Mega Evolve were in that war. Freaking sad, man. You solved it. So yeah, instead of it being a Firestone, Duskstone and all, I think it's just freaking crystallized energy. That's what the stones are. It's like a crystallized life energy. And this is especially why I say Journeys and Yveltal have to have Mega Forms, because they have this life energy. They should be able to Mega Evolve. That's what their whole being is. This is insane. I feel deflated. Like I'm not interested in finding the answer anymore. This is so obviously the case. When Legends EA comes out and they get to finally explain more about what a Megastone is, it's gonna be exactly this. Now, let's try to break this theory a bit. Let's try to look for some holes. What are the various events in the games that cause Megastones to appear around the region? The first conundrum is the sundial. For some reason in Pokemon X and Y, for 1 hour at 8 p.m., the rings of the sundial start to move, light shines through it, and for some reason you can find special Megastones around the region. What could the reason for that be? You also have to use the sundial itself to upgrade your Mega Ring to be able to find them. You could chalk this up to being just a game feature for no reason, and it doesn't actually have a lore purpose. But man, is it something so specific? And does the sundial not just look like some kind of giant crystallized Megastone, or the life energy we're talking about? It looks like a giant deposit of life energy. So I'm just gonna give y'all some conundrums to think about, and we'll solve this together. That's the first one. The second one is in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. In ORAS, there is one trigger, which is, aside from the Megastones you can normally find, after you beat Primal, Kyogre, and Groudon and get that whole big cutscene, suddenly you can find more Megastones around Hoenn. Is there an implication that Kyogre and Groudon somehow caused more to appear? Is it something not deep and Game Freak just wanted to lock certain Megastones after this part of the game? I'm not so sure. Because if you look, as far as I can remember, at the cutscene, after you beat the two Pokemon, some cutscene happens where this giant green beam shoots into the sky, splits the clouds apart, and then little sparkles start to fall onto the ground from the sky. It kind of looks like new Megastones fall from the sky there. I mean, let me see if I can find it to post in this video later, but it looks really suspicious from what I remember. It shows like locations all around Hoenn as everyone is watching these glittering fragments just fall down. You could chalk it up to Game Freak just wanting to make everything look so bright and beautiful after with this dust coming down, or they could really be Megastones. Meanwhile, in Sun and Moon, there are no Megastones you find on the ground as far as I remember. You just buy them all at the battle tree. It's a point made by Dexio and Cena that it's weird to see Mega Evolution so far from Kalos / Hoenn, but Dexio and Cena wouldn't know that. So really, whatever the origin to Megastones are, it's something both Hoenn and Kalos specifically share. Kalos has it under our new theory here because of the launching of the ultimate weapon. Why would Hoenn have it? Especially Hoenn's location is very far from France, and why would Hoenn have it specifically and not Johto, Kanto, and Sinnoh then? The only conclusion we can come to is that the ultimate weapon gave Megastones to Kalos, and in a weird way, Rayquaza gave Megastones to Hoenn. But man, Rayquaza has nothing to do with this whole absorbing Pokemon souls concept and life energy. So this kind of puts a wrench in our new theory. Though, last point I'll make is that while talking on how weird Rayquaza is, Rayquaza does eat meteorites in the atmosphere. And eating more and more of these meteorites is what charges its freaking Mikado organ to be filled with Mega Evolution energy and act as a Megastone. So I guess that would imply meteorites have in some way the same foundation as Megastones. Maybe the meteorites are filled with the life energy as well. Maybe the story is Rayquaza eats so many of these that when it does whatever it does 1,000 years ago, that it releases all the meteorites it's eaten. And that's what makes the megastones you find around Hoenn specifically. But again, this just doesn't, for some reason, work with what I was just so excited about. The idea that the ultimate weapon is what creates the megastones by ripping the souls out of Pokemon and creating this crystallized mutant stone. Who knows, guys? Help me figure out the answer to this theory. The last thing that's weird about Mega Evolution is, what the frick is a keystone? Why is a keystone important at all? And Game Freak would not let up. Even with the Rayquaza, they said the Draconids had like some giant keystone. And that's what they used to trigger Rayquaza's Mikado organ and all. What the frick is it? Why? It almost sounds like Mega Evolution makes so much more sense if you get rid of the keystone. The best I suppose I can say is maybe a keystone is like the human's version of a megastone. And so the human holds a megastone and the Pokemon holds their megastone. And we can communicate and mega evolve them. Or I guess if the Pokemon will mega evolve you. F this.